Tony Schiavone is in the risk group, but apparently he'll go anywhere. Tony's fearless. JR did not go, and I've wondered why that JR would have been traveling over the last couple weeks, because he's definitely in the risk group age-wise. Excalibur, the only risk group he's in is in the Columbia School of Broadcasting, using him as a bad example. He's at the risk of that every time he opens his fucking mouth, but he's supposedly fairly young and chipper. He couldn't be there. But Tony Schiavone, an elderly man, at least 2 years older than me, he can be there.
How far away is Schiavone from Jacksonville? Is it a drive?
He lives in Charlotte. Oh, no, he lives in Atlanta now. That was fucking 6 hours, maybe. The point is, if he's going to fucking go out in public, for heaven's sake. So he didn't have to fly. JR would have had to fly, which is probably why he didn't. Excalibur, he needs to be run out of town on a rail, much less put on a fucking COVID-19 infected airplane. But anyway, so poor Tony, he's got to be the one to risk his life, but he also risked his professional career we'll get to that at the end. So he opens up with Cody and Omega on Color. What did you think of Cody on Color?
I thought there were positives. I thought there were negatives. I thought at times he was good. At times, I don't know. Everyone's energy was at a weird level. I mean, especially Omega. He started with Omega, and it was like he was doing a golf tournament.
Well, that's what, don't wait any longer for Cornette to knock Olivier. Yes, he sounds like he still makes faces and sounds like a fucking nerd, even when he's on Color. And, in the hush tones somebody on a YouTube video said he's got such a chill sounding voice. Yeah, chilly like he's been dead for 3 days on ice in a morgue. Just boring, just blah. I liked Cody. He's never done that before, and it takes a while before you can master the art of color commentary, but at least he had a vocabulary. He put something into it. He was different, but he was pointing out a lot of shit in the matches, or, his historical references were mostly on point. I think he put the first Clash of Champions in Miami, but that's not his fault.
He said Darby Allin is like a young Sting. I like Darby Allin a lot. That's the worst comparison I've ever heard.
No, I can see where he was going with that. The blonde hair, the face paint, the fucking energy that he usually has. I liked Cody more than I didn't like him as far as being on Color, but it was different. But it was certainly better than they had an awkward show billboard at the top because Olivier's just useless in any capacity. But did you notice that Cody makes his entrance to the ring for his match, and Olivier ain't been on the air 5 minutes and admits to being a backyard wrestler? So I haven't had my friends announce me since I wrestled in the backyard, where you still ought to be, you fucking Harpo Marx looking goof. But how did they start the show out? Jimmy Havoc. How did he get there? Isn't he from England? They should have put him in quarantine before the world was ever even sick. Look at him. He's got to have something. Is it just that all the heavy illnesses he's got makes him immune to the coronavirus is how he was able to get there? What the fuck? So Cody versus Jimmy Havoc. None of the boys in the seats. The wimpiest, nerdiest color guy ever. And Cody has to have a match with Jimmy Havoc. And here's my note. It's ridiculous to put Cody in this situation of being competitive with this fucking guy. Cody is their main event guy. One of a very select few. He's one of the only guys that gets his matches over and can cut promos. Now I see why you never hear Olivier talk and do promos, because he sounds like such a simp. But Cody is one of their most valuable players. And yes, this did make more sense than any other Jimmy Havoc match ever. And yes, Cody did try to he kept control of most of it. He tried to give him some stuff, but still the visual of this obviously fucking pale, fishy white, nobody, a small little fucking scarred up freak who does hardcore matches and staple guns people and all that shit, going fucking toe to toe with one of their main event guys for this long. You know, at least they didn't treat it like a training match like, you know, the WWE guys are. They worked hard, but goddamn, Jimmy Havoc. It went too long and it got old quick. You cannot ever use this corpse-looking fucking cretin in anywhere near the top in a major promotion, at least in the United States. Maybe in Japan, they like him when he sets himself on fire and stabs shit through his fucking protuberances or whatever. But to me, this just diminished Cody. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it was the best Jimmy Havoc match I've ever seen.
Well, yeah.
I think, before I even get to Jimmy Havoc, I will say, I've said this before, Cody, it seems like he's always trying something in the match that he shouldn't be trying, and it is clunky. I think it was like he jumped off the ropes into a diamond cutter, and it just looked really bad.
No, he jumped off into Havoc trapped the arm. Wasn't that what it was?
Or
did I see that somewhere else?
He jumped off the rope, and he was supposed to catch Jimmy Havoc in a diamond cutter, even though he wasn't facing him. But it didn't look good to me. I think, I'm going to play devil's advocate here with you. They obviously had a very short crew, a very short staff. A small crew, I guess I'll put it, for this show.
They always have a short crew, but now they had a small one too.
They had a small crew, and the only heels that we really saw on this main show that worked were Kip Sabian, Sammy Guevara, and Jimmy Havoc, right? Because, I mean, the other guy, there was a squash guy, I don't remember any other, Jake Hagar, and they don't want to throw him into just any, I think what they did with him was actually all right.
Yeah.
So you didn't have too many guys that could work with Cody. I agree with you maybe about the length, that Cody should have won quicker because he is a main event guy and Jimmy Havoc is a YouTube AEW guy. There's like two different tiers of AEW stars. There's main roster guys and YouTube guys. And there's guys on television and there's guys that the billionaire was suckered into signing before he fully realized what he was going to get, and now he's got to hide them. You can put it that way too. He's a big boy. He makes his own decisions, Tony Khan. I'm not going to give him a pass on any of these signings, even though the executive vice presidents may have wanted some of them. But other than the length, the idea that Cody worked with him and beat him on TV, I don't have a problem with that because I think they didn't have too many guys. They needed Cody to beat a heel.
Yeah.
And you had him. I mean, like I said, we saw who was in the truck in the back. It was like Billy Gunn and his son and Dasha.
Boy, Cody and Billy Gunn would have been probably interesting. Come to think of it. I just can't see rewarding. When you put somebody like Jimmy Havoc on fucking television, it tells everybody in the world, well, I could do this too. It just demeans the business. He looks like shit, and nothing that he does in the ring can compensate for all the stupid staple gun, hardcore, scarred up bullshit that he's done. Remember I said he couldn't make the MLW show last year WrestleMania weekend because his arm opened up? He'd come to this country with his arm laid open like a goddamn gutted like a fish because of some fucking death match bullshit he'd done in fucking England where he sliced himself from asshole to appetite and missed out on the second day of the fucking two-shot because his arm opened up. It's just a fucking free. You don't want people like that in the locker room associating with the other. That's a coronavirus of a different kind. Putting death garbage match guys in fucking professional locker rooms normalizes them somehow to the rest of these guys that don't know that they should be shunned because of their fucking stupidity. Just in my opinion. And then Cody had to hit his finish twice on this fucking schlub. He did it like, I'm mad now. He didn't try to cover him after the first one, but still, it just rewards stupid behavior when people like that are used by supposedly major promotions.
I really liked Aubrey. I always get Audrey Meadows in my head when I think of her. But I thought she was great. She's the best referee they have. I wish they just used her for every single match. Like, you did with Hildebrand. She's so good.
Yeah, well, she's always got the game face on, and she slides into the counts, and she looks official, and she's got the body language. And then and I know some of their other referees, but goddamn, she's just in so much better physical condition, so perkier, so much more authoritative, and they don't bury her also because of that. They bury all the other referees, especially that poor fucking emaciated, bald-looking fuck that does all the tag team matches that just stands there, just waves his arms in circles because nobody even knows he's there.
That guy's the worst referee they have.
Hell. Well, but they make him the worst one. Who knows if he was actually refereeing something that made sense and was allowed to have some authority, he'd still look pretty wishy-washy physically. But anyway,